recognized is that these failures often helped me level up. Losing those people actually helped me find better people that I believe is going to take my business to the next level, which is what I wanted to do. And so you actually figure out that these failures are your greatest learning experiences. They'll help boost your business past where you wanted it to be, usually. So you want to embrace them, again, leaning into them. There's so much to learn in failures, and where the problem with it is.
Patrice Banks is the CEO and co-founder for Girls Auto Clinic, and she is one of my all-time favorite founders because she really found a problem in the world, which is the car industry is too male dominated, and so she has founded a company to really disrupt that. I've had the chance to be on her advisory board and part of her advisors from the start. And so I've really seen her grow and develop. And I thought she'd be a great way to kind of bring some energy to all this, because you may have seen her in Time Magazine, on Oprah, and Elizabeth Banks has got the option to develop a television pilot based on her story. And so she's doing some really, really neat things in a very scrappy way. So Patrice, tell us how you started Girls Auto Clinic and a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. It's such an honor to be here and to be with some of these other leaders and founders and creators that Vanessa knows. It makes me feel really proud of myself and how long a way that I've come. I still remember when I was your age and in college. I'm an engineer. I went to Lehigh University. I didn't really know what I wanted to do besides being an engineer. I like to solve problems. And I didn't really know what that meant in the real world as a materials engineer. Vanessa talked about DuPont. You have some people, I think, on the council that are from DuPont. That's where I worked for 12 years as a materials engineer. I did failure analysis. So my job was really kind of solving problems, even at work. That's what, engineers do. And so I love the start of my story, and I think it's what makes it so unique and what makes people love it is the fact that I'm not a car enthusiast. My dad wasn't an auto mechanic. In fact, we didn't even have a car growing up. We had to walk or take public transportation. And I was an auto airhead. That's what I called myself. I waited to the last minute to do repairs on my car. I always thought I needed a man to help me, that I had to call a man when something went wrong. I would panic, right? And I didn't feel good about the choices I made with my car. I didn't feel good going into a mechanic. I waited to the last minute, right? And all of these decisions and choices and feelings I had about my car and the industry caused me to make poor choices and lose a lot of money and hate my car. And this is as an engineer, right? As an engineer, I'm feeling this way. And I was tired. One day I was just like, I'm really tired of this. It's funny what's funny about my story is kind of how foreshadowed it was just in my career. I have a Facebook post that I made 2 years before I even started Girls Auto Clinic. And it said, my car needs an oil change, but I'm going to go get a mani-pedi instead. And I did. I remember I did. And I had guys commenting on that post like, this is why women shouldn't drive, and you're going to have a blown up engine, right? The girls were all like, at least she'll look cute when she's thumbing it for a ride. And it was kind of like, this is how society thinks about women and cars. I'm an auto airhead. I even make fun of myself. Like, I'm going to go get a mani-pedi instead. So I started looking for a female mechanic. I can't find one. I put it on Facebook. Anyone know a female mechanic? I Google it, female mechanic. And the first thing that popped up was the 10 top stock images of female mechanics. And of course, it's like women in bikinis next to these like muscle cars, or the really typical stock images of a woman holding up the wrong tool and she's smiling, And I thought, wow, this is kind of crazy. There isn't space out here for this. There isn't resources for women. There's not options for them. So I enrolled in school. I started searching for automotive technology schools. They're usually at community colleges, or you have the tech schools like UTI or LTI, completely different from being an engineer, from working in corporate America, right? It's just a whole change, going more into the trade fields. It was scary. I am at 31 at this point, engineer, right? I'm going to school at night and I'm working full time during the day. And I'm in class with a bunch of 19-year-old boys. I was the oldest person there, and I'm scared. I've never touched a tool in my life. I've never worked on a car, and I was the only girl in my class, right? And which made it even more intimidating. And I really had to call on my courage at that point and say, Patrice, what are you doing? You're an engineer from DuPont with 12 years experience. Why are you afraid of these guys? Get in there and learn. Who cares if you make a mistake? And guess what? I made a mistake. So did they, right? And that when that day came when I really my attitude changed where I'm like, I don't care. I'm on a mission. I don't care if they make fun of me. I don't care if they think I'm not doing something right. I'm here to help women, right? And so if they're not getting it, you're in my way. I'm going to find the people who helped me. And I did. And so that's this at the same time of me having these car issues. I'm like, all right, how do I fix this problem? Women are becoming more empowered right now. By the way, I don't know if you guys know this. Women are the number one customer in the automotive industry by far. There are more women drivers now than men across all age groups since 2012. Right? Women hold more driver's licenses than men. That means there's more women on the road driving. And I think that scares some of the guys, but the future is female, like they said. 95% of car buying decisions are made by women because we are the CFOs of the households normally. 67% of auto repair is normally women, especially if they're stay-at-home moms. They're usually the ones taking the cars in, right? So here you have your number one customer, and she's so dissatisfied. If you look at the statistics, 85% feel taken advantage of, mistreated. It was insane. And so I really got into the problem solving mode is why is there so few women in the automotive industry? Why do we have so few women who hate their experiences? And of course, it comes back to it's very male dominated, right? I set up my first girls auto clinic workshop when I was in school. I skipped class and I went and taught at a University of Delaware student sorority after school, after classes, right? And they loved it. I put together what I knew. As soon as I was learning, I'm like, that's it? Oh my God, women need to know this. And it's not that this information isn't available to people, it's that it's not delivered in the way that I'm delivering it, where I'm like, hey, ladies, here's what you need to know. Here's what's important information about learning your car, how you can be confident with the decision you make, how to talk to your mechanic, right? Just to give them that more confidence, that feeling of, I know I'm doing the right thing. I feel good about this choice. So I started thinking about those feelings I had and what I needed to know that was going to make the changes that would make me feel good and how I could relay that to women.
So
And I
Patrice, the
wanted,
thing I love about your story is that it's really starting from your heart, right?
right,
Like when you talk about, okay, it was something that you foreshadowed 2 years earlier, you had
right,
put something there and it's kind of sitting there and
yeah,
percolating.
yeah,
And then over time, you started listening to it more.
yeah,
And then I'm sure, you're making a lot of money, you're having a lot of, ability to kind of support yourself, and taking
right,
that jump, right? To take that first step is really kind of scary because you have no idea. And so
right,
I love how you found a network, you went and went to school, and you kind of took some baby steps, and then really gave yourself the permission to make mistakes. And I
yeah,
really want to highlight that for all of you, because when you start doing this, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to take some steps, you're going to fall, but that's how kids learn to walk. You look at
right,
toddlers, they're not running right away, they're going to fall. And I think your story kind of really embodies that.
yeah,
I want to share with them a
right,
little bit around this angle that you have
yeah,
around really providing things with kind of a female flair. And when I think about you, you have all kinds of flair. So let's start with your logo. Do you have any of your logo stuff behind you? I know you're in office right now. Like, share with them what people
she
how the
can
logo
and
looks
stuff.
like.
Yeah, the with the red heels. And again, when you talk about this is like in my heart, because people, one of the things that draws people to me is the authenticity. I do. I speak from my heart. I say what I believe. I definitely speak my mind, right? I'm not afraid to kind of do that. So I have the chicanic. That's what I call my car savvy lady chicanic. And you see the heel here with the wrench. That's the logo, right? And how this came about is I worked during the day at DuPont, so I had to wear like slacks and heels, and I forgot my change of clothes in the evening for class. And we had a lab where we were taking out alternators and learning how to rebuild them. And I thought, I'm not missing this lab because this was good information. And I didn't want to miss it because I wasn't wearing the right stuff. So I threw on a hoodie. Some boy borrow a hoodie, and I got underneath the car, heels and all, and slacks, and I'm taking out the alternator, and somebody snapped a picture of it. And all you saw was this car and like some legs and and the heels on them. And I posted it on Facebook at the time. I didn't even have my business name or logo, and it was the most liked picture I ever got and on Facebook. So when I was coming up with an idea for a logo, that's where I pulled it from, and people loved it. And so the whole idea with me wearing the heels, I made it red, loved it. I'm going to do it and get it out there. And I crowdsource a lot of stuff, guys. I just ask people, what do they want? Should I wear my red heels at the workshop? Is what I said, and everyone said, wear them. Yes, do it. And I did at that first official workshop. I wore my red heels, and it's been a wrap. I wear them every time now. I do promotion. I speak whenever I'm on TV. I'm on the cover of People magazine from December, and I actually had a custom made heel from an Italian shoemaker made for me that I'm wearing on the cover of People, and also in the Glamour magazine article in November. And people started paying attention, and I had this content, right, this workshop that women were loving, and I was also offering it for free, and I was getting a lot of slack for doing that because I wasn't making money at the time, but I was still working for DuPont. But I had a whole plan with offering these workshops for free, and we can talk about that if you have questions, because I still do them. It has been 2013 is when I held my first workshop. It's now 7 years. I have done them every single month for 7 years. I haven't missed one, except for coronavirus. This is the first time we've missed a workshop, and and I started the repair center. So we're getting down to it now. After I started doing the workshops, um, my goal was really to open a full service repair center for women. I wanted a place that I could bring my car, that I would feel confident, that I wouldn't have to deal with any sexism or all the uncomfortableness that comes with taking your car into a repair center. But I also wanted it to be a place that I wanted to work, right? So I thought, how am I going to do this? And remember my Facebook post, my car needs an oil change, and I'm going to go get a mani-pedi instead. This is how women think, right? It's a chore to get our car done. We don't like the experience. How can I change that and make women want to come? Because it's important, right? This is the biggest, second biggest purchase we'll make in our lives. We're not making good decisions with it. We're not feeling good about it. And so I decided I got to create a shop for women. It's going to cater to them. We're going to hire female mechanics, and there's going to be a salon there so they can get their nails done while they wait for the car. Now they're going to look forward to coming. Now they're going to want to show up and say, I got to get my nails done. I'm getting my oil changed, right? And I'm going to do it in a space that I enjoy. I feel empowered. I feel good doing it. And I feel confident about the choice that I make.
And so, Patrice, I think the thing I love about that is you just started with your network, right? Like you start
Yeah.
off by asking people, what do you think of this? And so, as you guys are on your journey, just reach out to your friends, and then your friends have friends. And before you know it, you get a lot of customer input that way. And so, I love the story that you use Facebook to do that. You
Mhm.
also were just having a bunch of friends over to learn about how to fix a car. So, what are ways that you start your network and that whole thing spirals out? And so talk to me a little bit about, you start off with kind of friend groups, you create a face group, that gets a little bigger. What was, you've been on so many things. You've been in Oprah, Tyra Banks. I can't even name all the people that you've interacted with. What
Yeah.
was the first big one, and how did that come about?
I gave a TED Talk in 2015. Randomly, someone sent me a link saying you should apply for a TED Talk based off of your story. Because, like Vanessa said, I was networking. I didn't have a shop. I didn't even have a name. I was telling people, I'm going to do this. This is my goal. This is what I want to do. And I would bring people along with me. Who thinks this is cool? All right, like let's do this. I'm going to have a workshop, ladies. Right? I'm going to have a little party, and we're going to talk about it. It was always reaching out to my network, and saying like, what can I do to help you? That's how the book came about, right? Because they were like, maybe we should get a book. That's how She Can It came about. I wanted to get a name for all of my followers, right? Kind of like Beyonce has her Beehive and Rihanna has her Navy and Little Gaga with the Little Monster. I'm like, what do I call my car savvy ladies that are learning about their cars and feeling empowered? I crowdsource it on Facebook, She Can It, with my, friends. And so just the power of having that network and these people, your tribe, which I like to call behind you, or your 1,000 true fans. I was building that before I even kind of had my business while I was still at DuPont. I was building my tribe. I was building my fans. I was kind of building my customer base. So when we did open the repair center, we already had 1,000 customers, right? When we finally, the big thing, like the TED Talk, right? Nobody really knew me then. I just had this crazy idea I was telling people about, and they said do a TED Talk, and so I did. I didn't know what I was doing. I applied and I got in, and read some books and stuff on how to speak, because this I was speaking at DuPont, but not really like TED. This was like a big deal, and this is when TEDx was really first starting to come out, 2015. And I did it, and people loved it, and they were sharing it, and they thought this was amazing. Someone from the Washington Post picked it up and said, write an op-ed about your story and what your plans are. And I wasn't prepared for the Washington Post. because I always thought it was, you know, the media was dying and the newspapers were dying, but man, that story blew up, and it people were hitting up my website. I don't have a PR rep. All of this PR you see comes to me. They email me because they Google female mechanic or they see a story about me and we pop up first.
That's perfect, right? Because I think that's really what the summer is about, is to own it, right? Don't be
Exactly.
apologetic, right? Don't worry about mistakes. Just own it. And then before you know it, you'll be kind of where Patrice is. When she and I met, she had nothing. She didn't have her book yet. And
Yep.
so kind of when I've been watching her meteoric rise, it's been really spectacular. And that's why I brought her here to inspire all of you, is that I've been watching her grow from that very, very first step. Um,
Yeah.
and and she was able to do it from nothing, literally.
Yeah.
And so,
And it's like leading, like you mentioned, leading from, the heart. Like I'll be the first, and Vanessa will be the first to tell you, like, it's not that I'm this super, I am smart, but it's not like I understood business ownership. I never owned a business before. I worked in corporate America, right? I wasn't an entrepreneur. And I'm growing into that, this business owner, this entrepreneur person, right? But really what it was is my heart, my belief in myself, the boldness that I had to put myself out there, right? And building that tribe, that network of people to support me, right? When I did put myself out there, people like Vanessa, I found her through a networking event. And she and I had she's a materials engineer as well. So I was like, oh, I got to meet you. And she came up with this wonderful idea for us to do a calendar of men and cars. And we did it. It was so cool. So, and we've been like friends ever since. And she's been a mentor, and an advisor, and really just a great friend to me. So I'm very appreciative. Yeah.
and so Patrice, no one ever likes to air their dirty laundry, but I really want you
Yeah.
to inspire people to be not afraid of failing as they
Yeah.
start this summer. So tell us an example of a failure, something that did not go well, where you're like, oh my gosh, that was horrible. And how'd you pick yourself up from it?
Like I tell people all the time, I fail all the time. And just really how you address failure, how you look at it. I'm a failure analyst, right? So one of the things that I do is I try to make sure that I've got plans in place for failure. And even then, you fail because you only but you fall to like your standards and your habits, and not really, right, like your potential. And so the thing about failure, and my failures are usually surrounded around my weaknesses, where I'm not good, and I'm not great at people and managing people, and bringing on the right people to my team. There's so many people excited about what I'm doing, and they want to help and they want to join. And I've had so many failures of selecting the wrong people, putting them in positions that they shouldn't have been in, and losing thousands of dollars because of it, because I didn't hire properly, or I didn't give them great direction, right? I was having difficult conversations with staff members. I think anybody will tell you that owns a business that the people part is the hardest. And I still struggle with it today. I'm struggling today with hiring the right people. We're getting out of a major failure that I made. I had turned over my entire staff in about 3 months last year, and it caused us to lose $100,000 last year. Very major. And this is only my second year in business. That was my second year in business, right? It hit me really hard. I lost a lot of money. And I was nervous about the business, and about where it was going to take me. But then I leaned on my network, on my tribe. I believed in myself. I write a lot of affirmations in journal, and I knew I was going to find the right people to help me. And what I recognized is that these failures often helped me level up. Losing those people actually helped me find better people, that I believe is going to take my business to the next level, which is what I wanted to do. And so you actually figure out that these failures are your greatest learning experiences. They'll help boost your business past where you wanted it to be, usually. So you want to embrace them, again, leaning into them. There's so much to learn in failures, and where the problem with it is around the shame of failing, right? Being visible to other people, of seeing you fail, and embracing that. I actually embrace it and speak on it, and it makes people feel like I can connect with them more. I share my failures on Facebook. I talk about the things I mess up, and how hard it is. I share them with my staff, and what I'm working on, right? So I don't hide from them. I try to learn the shame around them, right? Looking at why and maybe afraid to look at certain failures, and embrace them.
That's awesome. One thing I want to ask is, we are interviewing a bunch of different people like you who are,
Okay.
amazing creators. And at the end of the interview, what we do is we ask a question of, if you could ask the next, creator a question, what would it be? So we just interviewed Seven Wonder Cinema, and one of the questions they had for the next person we're interviewing is, how much of where you are today can you attribute to luck versus hard work?
That's a great question. And my initial gut reaction is all of it's hard work. Um, I come from a single parent home. We were on welfare. My mom's white, my dad's black, but I grew up in Black community. Nobody in my family had even graduated from high school. I'm the first to graduate from high school, the first to go to college. Like I mentioned, we didn't even have a car. To even know what engineering was, it was kind of crazy. And I had always, since I was a kid, had a tribe that was not even my family, right? People around me that were friends, school officials like that, that would help me. That was really important. And so when I look at my life and I reflect back, one of my favorite quotes is from Steve Jobs: "You can't connect the dots till you look back." I don't think any of it's luck. I think this is my destiny. I tell people I have been preparing for Girls Auto Clinic my entire life. This is what I'm here to do. I believe that. So when I think about not having a dad, right, which has kind of made me feel like to be in male dominated spaces, I kind of had to be the male persona at the house growing up and fixing things or being the one to speak up or doing those types of stuff, being the responsible one. That kind of allowed me to be this person that I am, right? Have certain resiliency, have certain characteristics or personality traits that make Girls Auto Clinic possible. So I would say 100% hard work. I don't believe that there's anything as luck. I think you come, you meet opportunities, right? Like I believe in affirmations, like ask, believe, receive. So I write down, I want $1 million, right? I'll write it down, but I'm working to that. And it comes to me because an opportunity comes up, like I meet someone like Vanessa. And so I take action when that opportunity comes up. That's luck, is seeing opportunity.
So now I'm going to put it over to you. I don't know who we're interviewing next, but what questions do you have for the person that we're about to interview next, whoever that may be? You could ask
Oh,
any
yeah, put me on
creator
the
anything.
spot.
Just think
Um,
about it.
yeah, you know what I usually like? I like hearing, I get a lot from people and I guess their personal mantras. And so one question I like to ask people is, if you could um, like have a billboard with any saying on it, or like a commercial ad with, and say anything to the world, what would you say? Is what
Great
I would
question.
ask. Yeah.
Great question. And you've already had a Ford commercial and a bunch of other commercials, so you've thought about this one
Yeah.
already.
What I would say is let go. Let go. Learning to let go is very, and trusting the process, right? Let go, trust the process, is probably what I would say to the world. um,
Perfect. So I've got a question from someone where she's asking, it's amazing what kind of environment you've built for both female mechanics and female customers. In your next steps, do you see yourself expanding your business plan to invite men to the conversation? So instead of just building an alternative to male dominant industry, we disrupt the problem itself.
Yes. So the goal of Girls Auto Clinic is to empower women in the automotive industry. That's my ultimate vision, right? How do we solve this problem where your number one customer is so dissatisfied? And I believe it's because there aren't women in positions of influence and power. So Girls Auto Clinic actually helps the automotive industry because it helps them reach a customer that they are not paying attention to, they're not listening to. And I'm like, I'm going to pay attention. I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to get you excited about your car. I'm going to get you to spend more of your time and your money on your car. That does nothing but help the automotive industry. So if anything, they should be like, this is good for us. Some of them are, some of them are not. And so my goal is, how can we be a leader in this industry to say, we can build businesses that are for women, by women, that are women owned, right? In the automotive industry, and put them in these positions of influence and power, so it would influence other businesses to do the same, right? We want to inspire them to include more women. That's how you're going to get women involved. If you want women at your shop, hire a woman. Now, here's where men come in. Also, I have males that work here. We get all the time, you're an all-female shop, you know, that's sexist and stuff. And I say, listen, there's a Midas across the street from us. They're all men. I don't hear you guys saying, where are the women? That's sexist, right? I give you your problem back. Nobody calls it an all-male shop. but I'm also not all female. I hire men because we have male customers. And if I'm speaking to people saying the industry discriminates against women, you need to hire women because you have women customers. If I have a male customer, I need a male's point of view, right? That's the whole point of diversity. Is if my customer base is going to be more than women, I want my staff to reflect who my customers are. And that's what we do, right? So yeah, we do hire men. We have one guy that works for us right now, and probably we'll be hiring one more. It's hard to find experienced women techs, but for the most part, when I look to recruit people, I look for women. I go to colleges looking for young girls that we can recruit and say, here's a space for you, right? We look for girls that are interested in cars, but maybe not have the background in it that we can bring in and train, right? So we're specifically looking for women, but we definitely need men to make this happen, right? We need men on our side. We need the men allies that believe in what we're doing, and we have them. Our customers that are men that come in love it. They love seeing women working on cars first, but they believe that women are capable of doing this. They've had strong women in their lives, right, that they see doing incredible stuff. So that's the goal of Girls Auto Clinic. We're going to create businesses that are going to give women positions of influence and power in the automotive industry to influence the rest of the industry, right? I can't do this on my own. I can't just be one Girls Auto Clinic to impact the world, really, right? This is happening not just in America, all over the world, and the future of transportation, right? I've spoken at Waymo and Google X about their future self-driving cars, and even Ford, right? They're not even calling themselves an automotive company anymore. They're a mobility company. And if the future is female and your number one customer is women, do they have women on these projects that are creating these self-driving cars and the vehicles for the future? They don't, right? And the women are recognizing it's a problem, but there's not been much movement, right? So even how can we just highlight these problems and not wait for someone else to solve them, but say, we're highlighting these problems and we're going to figure out how we can also solve them. And I think it just helps the industry when you do that.
So Patrice, that was fantastic. I mean, everyone can see why I had you be kind of part of our kickoff, because of everything that you've done to really kind of disrupt the auto industry. And a couple of things I really hope our Connect creators are getting out of this. One is you follow your heart all the time, right? There's a problem that you saw, you're passionate about, and you went for it. Two, you started with your own personal network. You didn't think too much about it. You were like, let me just start small. And then before you knew it, the whole thing snowballed and got to be something that's pretty extraordinary. Three, you just owned your authentic self. You're like, you know what? I'm going to learn along the way. I'm going to make some mistakes. I'm going to stumble. People are going to tell me that I shouldn't be doing this. You faced a lot of discrimination as you've gone through this,
Yeah.
and you've just kind of followed your own North Star and felt really empowered about what you're doing. And you thought really big. I think that's the fourth thing, is you've been thinking big, right? You start off saying, okay, Facebook post, I need to do a mani-pedi. That just sparked something in you. And now look at what you're doing. You really are going to change the world. And so that's really what I want you guys to realize. And what Patrice shared with us today is she started really small, just something that she posted. And now she's translated it into impact and reach that we could never have even imagined. Especially when the TV show happens at some point. It'd be amazing you can say, look, I had a chance to interact with her and she's incredible. And so Patrice, I wanted to thank you for your time with that. And, this part, it's a wrap, and I really hope our listeners are energized to get moving and to turn their potential into action based on your story. So thank you.